back to our story, when we first started this, like we gonna make the cakes match, we thought we had hit. We went online and we saw that other people was already kind of doing stuff similar. So I wouldn't even ever take the actual credit for starting the diaper cake because I didn't do that. But what I did was, we knew we had to get a funky name, no pun intended. So we decided to brand the name. But with the copycats, they just, I mean, even our wording on our site, because everything's different. Like every cake has a name. Like we have a Mr. Man Stinky Cake that's supposed to be for the future entrepreneur, or we have the Delightful Diva. She's gonna be the new diva. She's gonna take over Mommy's spot from being the diva. They just fun stuff. Yeah. So we look on other sites and they go on Craigslist and they go on Craigslist. They post stuff and I'm almost like, am I reading a broken version of my site? And I mean, but if that means we're doing something well, for them to copy is down to that. But what makes us stand out from our competition or copycats is that the quality of our work. Like our design team, they take extreme pride in what they do. Like, I mean, there's no loose ribbon or, yeah, they won't notice this. No, every cake is like, if it's for me, if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for you. If I don't want it, I wouldn't want to give it out. Yeah. So and that's the way our design team works, and that's just what we do. So, and another thing with our competition do is it's almost like if you go on their sites, and not to knock anybody down, because everybody do what you could do, but if you go on their sites, it's almost like they all mimicking each other. It's like no creativity. So whatever they do, whatever they're doing, we in the opposite direction. When they zig, we zag, and that's something that our customers love. Like I don't go and track down people that are copying us. Yeah. Like we get emails, this lady in this spot is doing this now, because our customers love us. Like, and that's another thing. One thing people have to understand. Like our customer base is this is like grassroots guerrilla marketing. So this started up with people that want to see you succeed. This is like friends and family. So like it's deep ties. So just how excited I get about Stinky Cakes, a Stinky Cake customer when you see one, because like, oh, Stinky Cakes, just like how
take a picture of the van and put it on.
And they do that. This is what they do. We have a strong following, and I love that.
Yeah, so you're talking about how the competition you guys are doing the different cakes, and I recently noticed that you're expanding and the different kinds of cakes you guys are doing. Do you want to touch upon that?
Well, yeah, we do whatever our customers want. It's just what we do. Like we love to be challenged. Like, for example, this one we have now, we did it for Tara Tatro from Jackson and Connor. She's a friend of mine. She's other 40 classes me, and we were at a networking event a few weeks back, and she said, I'm going to a baby shower. I said, well, why don't you, she said, I want something different. If you know Tara, she's like, she's cool. She's like good energy. And so I said, challenge me. She said, well, I want two. I want a Brazilian soccer cake and I want a Japanese themed cake. So I'm like, Brazilian soccer? Yeah, we can do that. But I knew if I came back with the team, we'll figure it out. And we ended up doing that cake for her, and she loved it. And the mom loved it, and dad loved it, and it was awesome. You could see that. You could actually see it on the site. And then, so now this is the second one we did for her, but we could get into that when you do it. You know what else I wanted to say? What I forgot to say was really important. Another thing about us and our competition, like Stinky Cakes is more than just, diapers and cake. It was more than that. Like we're committed to social change. Like, so when I do stuff, I always do stuff with my community in mind. So like, for example, I was invited to talk on 93.7 out of Connecticut on the Ava show on Sundays called Urban Voices. And I could have went on the show and just talked about Stinky Cakes for a whole hour and considered it great, free advertising. But what I did was I went on and I wanted to talk about encourage kids to become entrepreneurs. Because I figured a lot of kids in the street, if they would just change their product, from something illegal to something, whatever, chairs, cameras, whatever it is, if you just change your product, you could really create something that you could retire from and your friends can retire from, and your family, something you could live off, something you could hand down to your kids. And I thought it was cool. And so on the way back from Boston, I saw a kid in the mid-20s. He got so excited when he saw the Stinky Mobile. I said, that's one of my guys. I just knew it because it was Connecticut plates. I just knew it. So when I got back to the office, I checked the messages personally, and he was so excited. He was like, I did it. So I ended up calling him back. I said, how you doing? It's Mike from Stinky. He said, man, I just got to tell you, I heard you on Urban Voices, and this was like months after the Urban Voices thing. I heard you on Urban Voices, and I just want you to know that, you know, you're making a difference, and I'm doing positive things now. So I mean, if that one kid, if me doing that helped one kid just kind of realize that it does make sense for me to do something different. So I think our commitment to social change too, that helps us stand out. And I hope that our competition or our copycats would do that too. Be committed to social change. Be committed to something other than you making money. Because if you think about it, if you making money and you driving a nice car and have a nice house, and no one else around you, you're not helping anyone else do it, you're just bragging.
Exactly. Before we get on to the next segment, we're just going to go over the cake real quick and how unique this one is. I just want to show people the inside of the cake. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's not on there yet. This is a prototype.
Sorry. You know, you said
but we could tilt it though.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not going. And I'll tell them what you. You can take it up.
If you see the inside of it, you mentioned that this is like a sushi cake. There's diapers in here.
Let's show them. Let's take it up. Let's take it. Well, let them see. Yeah, they can see it. So it actually looks like sushi.
Oh, wow. I'm hungry now. All right, so, you know, before we head out, what's next for Stinky Cakes? Where do you see yourself in the future?
Well, like I said, it's going to be expanding. We'll be going to make ourselves more available to our customers, and we're just trying to change our business model. Like I said, social change is something big to us, and so like the issue of domestic violence is a huge issue, like, you know, and worldwide, no matter what culture, no matter what financial class you're in, I mean, is everywhere. So we want to try to help create more awareness of that. And we're going to do that by, I don't know if you're familiar with Blake Mykowski. He's from Tom's Shoes. But what he does is every shoe he sells, he gives one away to a kid in Argentina.
Oh, Tom's Shoes.
Tom's Shoes.
Okay, yeah, I know that.
So I saw him a few weeks back at the University of Hartford. And I was been thinking, before I even knew about him, I've been thinking about, you know, a cool way to give back every time we do something. And he said he doesn't go on every shoe drop, but he teams up with other organizations. And I was like, that's what we have to do. Just team up with someone else to get the product out. Because, I mean, you're giving people free stuff, they're going to want it. Yeah. So now we're in the middle of teaming up with various battered women's shelters to give to every time someone purchases a Stinky Cake, we'll give a blanket to a baby in a battered women's shelter. Oh, and the reason we want to do this is because my son Aiden, if you ever, when he was a little younger, like a year ago, I'm saying a little younger, if he was without his blanket, he would go crazy. So what happens is a lot of these times the women, they just flee. You know, they get a chance to run out. They're just leaving. So sometimes baby's blanket gets left behind. So we just want to kind of replace that and help, just help in a small way. But I mean, if everybody helped in a small way, it would become big. So I just figured if we could provide a sense of comfort for a baby in need, and it's a job well done. Great.
Why don't you tell everyone what your website is so they can go and check you out?
I think everyone's gonna forget it though if I tell them. But I'll try. It's stinkykakes.com.
All right, great. Mike, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be back in a minute. All right, so next up we have Jason doing the product testing with the iPad. Jason?
Great. So, like I said earlier, I was one of the guys that kind of stood in line on launch day for the iPad, and I had a chance now a couple weeks to play with it and figured I'd come in here and show you guys a little bit about it, see if I can answer any questions for you. But this is the iPad. Just, I'm sure everyone has pretty much seen one now. And at the simplest sense, it does essentially look like a big iPhone, where, and it does most of the features of the iPhone except for the calling, obviously. There is no camera, so that's kind of a downer right now, but that probably will be one of the things they introduce in the second generation, I would imagine. Prices range from, this is the 16 gig version at $499, and then there's a 32 and a 64 gig version at $100 each, so $599 and $699. And they've just announced, I think it was today or yesterday, that the 3G Wi-Fi versions are coming out on April 30th, and those prices start at $629 and then go $729 and $829 respectively. So once you get into the higher end models or the more storage models, obviously they can get pretty pricey.
For the people that don't know, what's the difference between the 3G and the Wi-Fi version that you have?
The Wi-Fi version works in your house. So you'd have to use it with your wireless networking, or here in the studio we have wireless networking so we can get on the internet. Whereas the 3G version works like your iPhone or any wireless device like that, where you're getting your data stream over the internet or over the cellular networks. So just take you guys through it a little bit. The again, it operates much like an iPhone. Some of the features that they added here was, you can have, it's a larger dock. It does all the cool, we've seen it does the whole rotating thing. It's smart enough to know whatever orientation you're in, it will move in that direction. Some of the cool things that the upgrades to their own apps, where if we go into the photo section, much like the photos on the photo app on the iPhone, you can go in and you can look at all your different pictures, and I don't think there's anything inappropriate here. But one of the neat things that you can do, you can email and send those photos back to people. It's a little difficult using this upside down here, but let's see if I can get out of the, okay. So there's a lot of pinch gestures that can be made in these apps. So if I want to collapse out of this photo album, I can literally just pinch it down.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Or go back to my albums. I can pinch things open as well. So if I want to get kind of a sneak peek of what's in this album, I can kind of spread it open a little bit and look at those pictures. And then if I just make that pinching gesture, it'll actually open it all the way.
Wow, that's crazy.
And at that point, we can show off my dog and awe factor. So that's some of the neat things they've done with the apps that were on the existing iPhone. They've redone things like the Contacts app, where it's laid out like a book. Ironically enough, we're going back to making it look old-fashioned. But I can, you can flip through your pages of your contact book over here. Same thing with the calendar. It acts much the same way. Again, I can't see it very well. Oh, here it is, upside down. So it's more of like a date book style calendar than the old apps were. Some of my app favorites that I've had were, like I was talking about the Netflix app. That's amazing. I mean, you can stream movies right from Netflix to your iPad. The only downer there is that Netflix doesn't have a very good selection of streamable movies. So you're not getting first run DVDs, or most of the time it's a movie that's been out for a little while.
So they have a different selection for the iPad movies compared to like movies you can watch on your TV or on any other computer?
The same selection, but even from those selection, you can't get what you can get on DVD. So when a new DVD comes out, like Avatar comes out on DVD, you can have that shipped to you, but you can't watch it through the streaming interface. Okay. I'm not quite sure why they do that. I think that I would imagine as this becomes more popular, they'll probably shift towards that. It would make sense anyways. But right now, go ahead.
I'm sorry, what's the battery life on that?
The battery life is actually amazing. I mean, they say 12 hours. You can get just about 12 hours out of a charge. So that's the one thing I've noticed is it charges really slowly, but it's got a much larger battery than an iPhone does. So it may take 4 or 5 hours for it to completely charge, but you have it all day the next day. Granted, if you're streaming a lot of movies or you're on the internet a lot, you're going to use more of the features of the iPad. But if you're reading a book or listening to iPod, the iPod, your music on here, or even watching a movie, you're going to get amazing battery life. I've been very, very impressed with that. I mean, I probably have charged it 3 times in the couple weeks that I've had it now.
Mm-hmm. Can you use it while it's charging?
Yep, just like an iPhone, as it's charging and docking. I mean, you sync it with iTunes, and it's in that fact that it does act like a big iPhone. Mm-hmm. So you can use it while it's syncing, or while it's charging, rather. So if you're home, Apple's got some docks that are out too. Mm-hmm. I don't have a dock, but essentially they got one where you can sit it up there and it's got a keyboard, so you can type on it. I would imagine that those have some sort of charging functionality built right into it. And that kind of talks about the productivity. We had talked a little bit earlier about what makes the iPad different than a laptop or a phone. And it really, Steve Jobs had kind of called it as an improvement on the netbook. So it's not a laptop replacement, nor is it obviously a phone replacement. It'd be kind of weird to hold this up to your ear and try to make phone calls that way. But you can do productivity work on this. Through the App Store, you can buy their iWork suite, so I can write documents, I can do spreadsheets and calculations. I can even hook this up to a laptop projector and do presentations right from it. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty cool thing. I can't wait to do my first presentation off the iPad, just for the cool factor.
how's that work? You just plug it into the
You
computer?
plug it into the
or
dock connector.
Okay.
And then there's a dongle that hangs off the bottom of it, much like Tiger Woods. And then you would hook your projector up to there. And one of the things that they told me when I went and purchased it that day at the Apple Store was that they have an HDMI connector as well that's coming out for these. So you'd be able to hook this up to your large screen televisions. And I can, again, only foresee that the possibility of streaming movies from your iPad or the App Store or the iTunes movie library to your TV being a possibility down the road, too.
I'm surprised they haven't come out with like an iTV where you can like touch the TV and start watching channels and stuff like that. I'm sure Apple's going to be
Yeah, they
starting
have
doing
the Apple
something.
TV. They have an Apple
Yeah,
TV
yeah,
device.
yeah.
Obviously, it's not like that. But
Yeah, but I think like from the touch iPad to the iPhone to the iPad, I think they're going to start just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and eventually they're going to have that touch TV. I mean, I know some computer desktops are now touchscreen, but I don't know. I feel like Apple is just going to start pushing the boundaries and making it bigger and bigger.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. Because one of my biggest annoyances about it is the fingerprints on it. You're touching it, and so there's always fingerprints on it. So not too bad when you're looking straight onto it. You don't notice them as much, but if you're off to just the side a little bit, that's all you can really see is fingerprints. So I couldn't imagine watching a movie and seeing nothing but fingerprints on my television screen. But
True.
Now, for me, I never really got a whole touchscreen phone because I drop things. So I was just afraid to crack and then, be screwed out of like $400 or $500. They come with, protectors for those, right? Where,
yeah, they don't have screen protectors as far as I know for the iPad yet, but they do. Apple and a couple other manufacturers have cases. So it looks like a little leather folio at that point, and it fits right in there. The Apple one's kind of pretty neat. You can flip it all the way around, so it'll actually sit up in your lap at an angle. So again, if you're using the on-screen keyboard, it's more natural than trying to type like this. You're typing like this.
So lazy people just got a little lazier.
Essentially, yes. And if you flip the case another way, it'll stand up, because this has a digital picture frame mode as well. So when you first turn the iPad on, one of your options is you push this little button down here, and now it just goes through your photos and becomes a digital picture frame.
Oh, wow.
So with the case, it would stand up and be that digital picture frame.
Casino trip?
A Vegas wedding, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
That was
wow.
my buddy's Las Vegas wedding.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go there this summer. But let's not talk about
I'm
that.
going at the end of the month. I like it. I see it as like a catch-up device. I mean, I tend to be a lagger with catch-up.
Oh, I thought you meant like
Catch
the right
up.
thing, catch up. Okay,
I
good.
tend to be a lagger with technology, as we were talking about before, and I tend to resist the new outbreaks with technology. So I think it would be something I would look into possibly investing in instead of committing to getting rid of my phone and going to an iPhone, or getting rid of my laptop. So
Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
definitely, like I was saying, it's not a laptop replacement, but
right.
in the 2 weeks I've had this, or 2.5 weeks, whatever it is now, the laptop gets picked up far less often. So it's there. I still use it for work and for development, that type of stuff. But as far as most of what we do on the internet, surfing, email, Facebook, Twitter, that type of stuff, I'm reaching for the iPad more than. And the other thing I've done since that I haven't done in years is read newspapers. The New York Times and the USA Today both have apps on here that allow you to read their newspaper, real time. And I can't remember the last time I read either of those publications outside of being in a hotel.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you, Jason, for doing the product testing. Next up, we're going to go with Corey with health tips for the business professionals. Corey?
Okay, well, just to touch on this quickly, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick tips for those of you who sit in a cubicle all day. A couple of things. First, we tend to, as a society, take in a lot of sugar, and in our bread, in our yogurt, and what I found is if you switch to plain yogurt and you add real fruit or frozen fruit and it thaws out, it adds to the sugar, the natural sugars to the plain yogurt to not make it so sour. The U.S. government food pyramid suggests that you should have 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit and 2.5 to 3 cups of vegetables a day. Now, it's hard to take that in when, it's easier to just grab a granola bar or a hamburger or, whatever. But if you can find easy ways to add those to your diet, it's there's a lot of health benefits to it, such as carrots and hummus, or apples with organic peanut butter.
Oh, that's disgusting. I'm sorry. I tried organic peanut butter. Disgusting. I'm sorry, sugar or no sugar. I'm sticking with Jif.
Well, and then the other thing is tea is a great way to add that to your day. It satisfies your sweet cravings in the middle of the day, and tea can actually help a lot of ailments that people have trouble with. It's rich in antioxidants, and it's becoming one of the most popular beverages in the world.
What's your recommendation? What's your favorite tea?
I actually like green tea with...
Follow the crowd.
What's that?
So you're following the
No,
crowd?
I'm just slowly getting into the teas. I'm a coffee person in the morning, so...
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's a topic of conversation.
Tea is?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm missing that then.
it's quite popular.
There's a
All
whole
right.
store for it at the mall. Keep on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I saw that.
They have an iPhone app and everything to tie in.
See that?
Do they really?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Tiger needs to get on that.
Yeah, you drink tea, get an iPad, and do a couple tweets, and you're the most popular person in town.
All right, so next up we have Quick Fix. It's just gonna be a quick story. Stories. Me and Corey, we go back and forth with what's in the news now. And Corey will start off with Yahoo wanting to buy Yelp.
Okay, so in December, the Yelp CEO, and if those of you who don't know what Yelp is, it's a site focused on allowing users to review and talk about local businesses, both those that are great and those that are not so great. So in December, the Yelp CEO walked away from a deal with Google, who agreed on a price tag of $550 million.
Jesus.
So most recently, Yelp has seen interest from Yahoo, and they are the new potential buyer.
Do you know how much they're asking?
I don't, but Yahoo did just declare profits tripling with their new partnership with Microsoft, and I believe their net earnings so far in first quarter were $310.2 million compared to last year, which was $117.6 million. So they're seeing tremendous profits, and I believe that this would be a complementary agreement between the two, and I think it would provide Yahoo with a definite competitive advantage against the other search engines.
Next up, we have Facebook and Twitter competing against Foursquare. Many people don't know what Foursquare is, like Corey. Foursquare is where you can through your smartphone, tell people pretty much where you are at given times and who you're with. Facebook is launching what they're calling Facebook Presence, and Twitter is launching Twitter geolocation to compete against Foursquare. I personally don't use Foursquare. It's enough where I don't want people following me per se on Twitter, certain people, but there's enough where I'm on there, but I don't really tell people where I am. Next up, we have the recession and the job market and how that's going with Corey.
Well, I have a job, so that's great. Maybe we could talk about that next episode.
Okay, no problem. All right.
Do you have anything to add about the recession?
I own my own business. It's been tough. Actually, I do see signs of definitely the economy increasing. A lot of what I do is marketing, website design. So there's been a very strong interest since about November in people getting either new websites or increasing their marketing, which is refreshing because we've always been told advertise in a recession, you'll come out stronger. People still have money in a recession to spend, they're just not spending it as easily.
Right.
No,
So
you're seeing it more from small businesses rather than large ones who are spending the money on doing the websites. Because I find that I feel like the small businesses are actually realizing now, they need to get on the web. Like my father owns a business for 30-something years and doesn't even know what the web is. And I had to do the website for him and do like the social media pages. And I mean, granted, he doesn't know what it looks like, but at the same time, I feel like no one goes through the yellow pages anymore. They go online and they search everything. And he doesn't understand that he still has a cash register where, I think small businesses are finally starting to get up to date with, the big companies and starting to advertise and market themselves in a better way.
Well, yeah, they're just kind of jumping on the social media bandwagon, and it's interesting to see how well they can do with that. Because again, you got a large company. I'll pick on IBM. They're one of the biggest, most conservative companies you can think of. And I don't know if they have a Twitter presence, but it'd be interesting to see an IBM try to jump into the younger way of advertising and marketing and seeing how they could pull that off.
Well, I think the whole social media thing is not, I mean, it is marketing, but I think it's a great customer service tool because, you know, people, when they complain, they're going to go on the internet and just flat out say, you know, if something went well, they're not going to go and like brag about it. But if something goes wrong, they're going to tell everyone. So I feel like when they go on and complain, it's going to be a great way for them, the companies, to go through and like, all right, so they didn't like this. You know, let's fix it. Kind of like when we were at PodCamp.
Yep,
And some people were complaining about the Comcast, and, you know, the guy saw it, tweeted it right away, and wanted to come to the next one and, you know, represent Comcast and make sure everyone, you know, is getting better service from Comcast.
I do know that I was listening to Senator Scott Brown talk recently, and he made a trip over to Pakistan and Afghanistan, and he did point out, other than the obvious, you know, war that's going on, that a common trend for both the United States and other countries is jobs. The civilians continue to talk about how they need jobs and how they are, you know, in lack of jobs. So I think that, you know, it is a common problem across the entire globe, but Massachusetts' employment rate has increased from February to March, and I do know that, so.
Okay. Coming right up, we're gonna have a Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks challenge featuring myself and Corey, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We're gonna do the Dunkin' Donuts dark roast challenge with comparing the flavor of the dark roast to the Starbucks coffee. You know, people complaining that Dunkin' Donuts is watered down, not much flavor, and they came out with a dark roast, which is supposed to compete against Starbucks coffee. So my lovely assistant, Corey Vittoramo here, will be doing the challenge to see if she can distinguish the two. They are both smalls with 1 milk and 1 sugar, all right? And let's see which one she can. We'll have you try both first and then see which ones you can tell which one's which.
Okay.
Right. Just move forward.
Okay. Okay. Well, I thought this would be easier than I thought. Hold on, let me cleanse my palate. Let's do it again.
I'll give you a compliment
This
on
is
the
the
shoes budget
this is the
for
second
one.
one.
Yep, that's the second one. Come on, you took it so long.
All right, I'm gonna guess that
What's number 1? The last one you just talked
the last one is Starbucks and the first one is this one's Dunkin' Donuts.
You're right.
I am.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And your prize is 2 coffees.
And what I noticed was, okay, first of all, I like this one because it was a small and it had more, not knowing that. But to compare the two, Dunkin' Donuts has it almost has like an artificial stronger taste.
Yeah.
It wasn't a true,
Coffee dark roast.
yeah. And this one was a softer, mild taste. So in my opinion, I would go for Dunkin' Donuts because there's more and it's cheaper. Even though the taste it wasn't bad. Same satisfaction as a regular iced coffee though. I didn't think that it was any stronger than regular coffee.
So taste-wise, you would go with Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
Without analyzing the price and size,
Don't be
I would
cheap.
probably
Which
go
one?
with Starbucks.
Okay. All right, so that's it for our show today. I want to thank Jason for coming in and guest hosting and doing the product testing. Corey for being a co-host. We'll see her next week, maybe, if I don't fire her. And
You're a dashing man.
try to be, you know. And, you know, stay tuned for the next coming episodes. This is going to be something where hopefully we can do every week. And for you to enjoy next week, or next episode, we're going to sit down and have Leslie Lambert be in, as well as Angela Lucier, who will go over her book, The Anti-Resume Revolution. And you can catch them both on the next episode. So we'll see you next show. Have a good night.